Hi, folks. We are back on our bullshit today, and we're reading another Dan Brown novel. Now, did we love it? You might be able to guess, but you're going to have to listen to this episode to find out, and you may even have to watch it. Patreon.com/Langdon Night. This one does have a video version. This is a two-parter, as we do for our favorite books. So we'll do part 2 next week. Today, mostly broad brush strokes speaking about it. Anyway, go over to the Patreon, support us over there. $5 a month or more gets you mini episodes every week, and $2 a month gets you video episodes, ad-free episodes, all the good stuff. All right, enjoy. Hi.
Hi, Brian. World-renowned physicist
That's true.
and musician, looking surprisingly fit for a decrepit old man of the
I know.
age of
How old is
50.
he supposed to be? He's like 10 years older than he was 40-ish, right? In Da Vinci Code?
He was like
Angels?
way too young for how much he complains about how old he is.
That's right. And now he's not that much older, right? He's only like 10 years older or something.
The last Langdon book was The Lost Symbol, I think, which was... Or I could have sworn Inferno came in there somewhere. I
These
actually
books have been
don't
out
care.
for at least 20. He's not aging linearly
No,
with...
he's been writing the Langdon books for 25 years.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not 25 years older than his, however old he was in the first book, in Angels and Demons.
Where to start? We should probably introduce up top. This is Late Night with Brian Wecht. That is the steely blue-eyed physicist, Brian Wecht. And here I am with similarly... Sorry, to borrow from this book, doe-eyed, blonde...
Does he say doe-eyed?
Oh, yeah. Doe-eyed, 20-something blonde, Leighton Gray. That's Brian Wecht.
But you have to put some other word in there, like statuesque or something, right?
Model, like a model. Looked like they could have been a model. How many characters in this book could have been models?
All of them.
We have
They're
a whole
all
runway.
Yes, this is Late Night with Brian Wecht. I am Brian Wecht. It's just
This
us
is
today.
Another edition of Bad Book Club. And we're back with everyone's favorite.
And up top, spoilers. If you haven't read this book, first of all, don't.
Yeah.
Save yourself however many hours of your life from this monstrosity. But we will be freely talking about the plot of the book, such as it is.
The stunning international... I can't even do it. The stunning international scientific ramifications of this non-fiction, non-peer-reviewed book that's going to come out.
The acknowledgement. Let's start with the acknowledgements.
Okay. So this is the 6th entry in the Robert Langdon series, as we've already covered on our Bad Book Club series, notably the 2 different Robert Langdon books and the 2 most famous ones, Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code. And oh, how reading this book made me yearn for the sweet embrace of Angels and Demons.
It's so much worse.
It even made me yearn for Yudkowsky, like a tiny little bit. Because it gets so pseudoscientific, it's like, all right, at least give me someone who's smug but kind of knows what they're talking about.
This one, much like Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality, and much unlike Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code, this was boring. This did not have that Dan Brown, like, zippy, racing around, page turner vibe. This was, like, actively boring. And I'm gonna upfront say... So I finished this book about an hour ago.
Oh, congratulations.
During the last 20 pages, I fell asleep. I fell asleep reading it. I had eaten dinner. I sat down to finish it.
100-page denouement didn't really do it for you?
This book definitely has an extra 50 pages that it does not need to have. We'll get there eventually, I'm sure. But I 100%, and I was on a clock, so I got to finish this in time for the recording. I fell asleep reading it. And it was not like late at night. It was like 6:30 or whatever.
Just shows
so
how old
fucking
you are.
Boring.
It's really incredible too, because I think that Angels and Demons is the best Robert Langdon book, which best is tough, but I think it really plays to the strengths. And I feel like Angels and Demons is what everybody talks about Da Vinci Code as being, because Da Vinci Code comparatively is such a fucking slog. Angels and Demons, it's not good. It doesn't make sense, but it hits science, art history, religion, double crosses, all the exact same stock characters that are in this, but at least like it's set in a place, in a context that makes sense. It's in the Vatican. They're electing a pope. There's like background real world stuff going on that, you know, there's a bomb. There's a bomb under the Vatican, and we have to race against time to figure out the clues because, as we all know, Robert Langdon, esteemed Harvard symbologist.
Oh, as if that wasn't the most bullshitty field he could have found.
Dan Brown found another one. But they solved puzzles. There were codes and riddles, and like he had to rely on his historical knowledge to get them out of jams, even if that historical knowledge was spurious at best. How many puzzles are there in this book, Ryan?
Generously two.
Generously two.
Robert Langdon is more, at one point he just straight up MacGyver's a fire, which does not use his symbological training.
But he slides a bottle of Windex across the floor.
It's now he's just a dumb action hero who pauses to recall at length memories from 2 days ago and lecture other people.
Yes.
But luckily, he's got a friend who also loves lecturing other people.
But not in the present tense, just in the past tense, as Dan Brown laboriously continues going back to the well of telling us about this apparently 6-hour talk this lady gave.
Yeah, in a castle.
In a castle that they were put up in the executive suite of the Four Seasons. Because
there's so much. Did you notice? There's so much fucking brand placement in this book.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't remember this from the other ones, but the Four Seasons, what else was there? There's the was it Dale sweater? Is that the type of sweater he wears, which gets mentioned several times? Now we're name dropping
he's not
sweaters.
Wearing a Harris tweed in this.
No, I noticed that. He's wearing a sweater because it's colder. No. He can outswim the Harvard varsity swim team, even at 53 or whatever. That's why they call him the Dolphin.
Yeah. There's so much. Because I'm like vividly remembering he loves hanging out on campus and discussing computer graphics with his students.
I think what we shouldn't do, I feel like in the past we've kind of gotten bogged down in plot summaries. I don't want to summarize the plot of this. We'll hit it as we go. But we're not going to take time to summarize this
because if you've listened to our Angels and Demons and our Da Vinci Code episodes, which makes up like a considerable amount of hourage, but certainly less than whatever the audiobook mileage on this book is, then you know exactly the things that we're going to complain about. This is the most Dan Brown Mad Libs. It is the exact same formula. I think in one of the previous episodes, I did a list of like, here are all the pieces to write a Dan Brown book.
You did.
Every single one of them. I'm not even going to bother to pull it up just because I know that I'm right. It's the exact same thing.
The one thing I noticed that I think this one was missing, but tell me if this is wrong, is a guy who's written like a bad guy but turns out to be a good guy.
I thought we had that with what's his name? Kepler?
Kerbal? Yeah, but this is part of my complaint about the book. That character is so thin. I couldn't tell you anything about him. He's too generic to
Every
be
character is too generic.
Yeah, but him, I know, yes. With the exception of, so who are maybe we can summarize the characters. We've got...
or the general thing, the general mystery, because you people are never going to believe this, but this book also starts with a scientist being murdered by some monstrous...
Oh, a sexy scientist.
I don't know. Is she sexy?
I think she's supposed
my
to be
God.
sexy.
I don't
Aren't there
think
some
she's
words about
supposed
her
to be
being
sexy. Because
Really?
don't they make her sound like an annoying crone when they're regaling?
They make her
their...
sound annoying, but I think she's annoying but hot. I could be wrong.
I mean, everybody in
see.
this book does look like a model. Maybe I'm going to need you to get your head off my hand because I need to pull up the receipts. And if God loves us, maybe my phone will die and we'll have to bail.
I thought she was supposed to be hot. I could be wrong.
There are
though.
multiple severe female characters who are defined by the fact that they have black bobs.
Yes,
and
I think she has a tight ponytail. I believe this one.
I don't know. How about we start at the beginning?
Okay.
It's a little known secret that I like to start at the beginning of books. I'd like to bring note to the who this book is dedicated to.
Mm-hmm.
To my editor and best friend, Jason Kaufman, without whom writing these novels would be nearly impossible and a lot less fun. First of all, if this man is your editor and best friend, he is with friends like these. Who needs enemies? Why did he let you do this?
Right.
But as you'll note, one of the maybe only devilishly clever anagrams in this book is that there's a character named Jonah Falkman, who is Robert Langdon's editor.
Well, if you read the acknowledgments,
Random
you're
House,
like,
Doubleday. Oh, Heidi.
Well, there are a bunch of names that he just straight up uses, which is his prerogative and is the prerogative of authors. Who cares? But it gets sort of out of once you read the acknowledgments, you're like, is he making these names up in the acknowledgments? Like,
these are all the friends that I pretend to have. No, I mean it's like fine because it's like all those names mixed with these improbably stupid names that are in this book. And honestly, I'm gonna say I'm like struggling to think of things to say because I read this almost entirely over the past 48 hours because over the weekend I was like, fuck, I have to read this Dan Brown book. And instead I read 5 Michael Crichton books and every available Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad screenplay, script, teleplay, whatever.
I read use of your time.
All of them to procrastinate. I got to the point on procrastinating on this that I was like, should I like do my job? Should I do my actual job that I need to do? Yeah, it's that bad. Because I got 8% in and was like, oh.
Yeah, it's I stalled out pretty hard on this too. I did start a week ago. But
even in terms of summarizing the central mystery, like Robert Langdon is in Prague because his girlfriend is giving a talk.
Well, she's not his girlfriend when she invites him.
Yeah, they've been fucking for 3 days and now they're in love or something.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, she invites him. They've had this long-term relationship.
So she was a major character in The Lost Symbol, which was the last.
Oh, she was. Okay, see, I didn't realize this at all. Okay.
Yeah.
But they weren't romantically involved there.
I don't think so.
Well, they go out of their way to say she never thought of him that way or something. Anyway, so she invites him as a +1 for this lecture, big fancy lecture. She's a big fancy scientist, noeticist. And she invites him to this lecture, and then the spark ignites while they're there, and they go to Fucktown and the Four Seasons, and it's like the best. She's incredible. He's incredible. Everyone's in peak physical form, and it's just they're firing on all cylinders together. It's
intellectually,
disgusting. Yeah.
And like, what else could you say about Catherine as a character? That her book is a MacGuffin.
Yeah. So the plot is she's written this book, which is going to, she thinks is going to like revolutionize all of humanity. I guess it's it's basically the most important thing anyone's ever written. She has somehow been persuaded to write it on a private server with no other form. She logs in, she does it securely.
She won't let anybody read it.
Which,
this book isn't even like coming out yet. It's just like she just finished the manuscript and is sending it off.
By the way, right away, one thing I wrote down was this is not how you do science. Like scientists write books, but if you're going to really like put results out there, you publish the paper. And then there are some
peer-reviewed.
fields, like in the humanities, sometimes people do research is like a book and then they publish the book. In
Yeah.
science, that's not how it works. And when people do that, that's a big red flag. And
While also claiming this is going to change everything. This
That's
is gonna
right.
unlock everything. Like Robert Langdon, you have fallen for a goop sorceress. She's going to try to get you to put crystals on your dick.
yeah.
Back out
And-
now.
Oh, would he would be super into that, right? If Catherine was
Well, because
like,
then he'd be like, interesting. Not many people know that the crystal actually represents insert
Yeah.
Wikipedia vomit
my
here.
non-local dick. So she writes this book. It's on some server and it gets hacked and totally deleted, and that becomes the central question. Well, it's not even one of the problems of this book is there's kind of no thing driving the plot. Like the book is
Yeah.
a bit of a MacGuffin, but you're not pointed in any direction. You just go from A to B to C to D.
Well, yeah, and as with all of these Robert Langdon books, at the beginning there's always some suspect member of the local police
That's right. We got
who
that.
suspects him out of nowhere, which like
hate-
some of them
Hates him.
for these books, it's like, yeah, we think you committed a murder because you were on Jacques Sonnier's date book or whatever. Like, okay,
Yeah.
that one makes sense. In this book, it's like you pulled the fire alarm on a building.
You evacuated a fancy hotel in Prague.
And then, because it wasn't even that, because then the guy is like, there was a bomb. There wasn't a bomb. And that's a
Right.
plot twist later that there wasn't a bomb.
Yeah.
Because there was a bomb, so that's fine. But we need to go find your colleague at this lab she was supposed to be at. And it isn't until they get there and Robert leaves that they're fugitives, because another character hits one of the guys in the head with a fire extinguisher, and then they're on the run. And then
And that's the bulk of the book is they are
yeah.
running. So
They're
for a
not
while-
even getting chased by the assassin figure in this book, the Golem.
No, he's ahead of them, in fact.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the time pressure is really just like a grieved nephew of I don't know any of these characters' name. I also don't have any clue about Czech pronunciation.
No, Janacek is probably how I
Janacek,
would
okay.
is how I would say that one, but I'm sure I'm mostly wrong
Yeah.
with that. That's also the name of a famous composer.
Oh.
So roughly the first third of the book is Langdon is looking for Catherine Solomon, right? Isn't that her name? Solomon?
Yeah, and I think there's
Yeah.
a bit of a misdirect where because as with all of these Robert Langdon books, we get these little vignettes of the assassin, and clearly he's obsessed with someone because he's like, I'm her protector.
I must
have to
protect her.
protect her. And so there's like this.
By the
very
way, shout out to the fellas. Women love that.
They do love it when you make a creepy little shrine and you're
Your only
experiencing
thought is of
physical and
them.
mental release.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to. But we think there's a little bit of a misdirect where it's like, oh, Dan Brown wants us to think that the Golem is obsessed with Catherine Solomon,
Absolutely.
who's probably been kidnapped. And there's a bit of a reveal of many that it's someone else that the Golem is obsessed with.
But like all Dan Brown things, the moment he's pointing in a direction without saying it, you know, oh, that's not what the thing is going to be. Always.
Yeah.
100% of the time. And if he's setting something up but not telling you, you're like, okay, well, that's going to turn out to be wrong. So you know, because you know these books, that it's clearly Sasha that this the thing, because there are a number of female characters in this book. There's the ambassador, Nagel, right? Isn't that her name? Heidi
I think
Nagel.
so. Heidi Nagel.
And
There's Sasha.
There's Sasha. There's Catherine.
There's Dana.
Yes, there's Dana Davik, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
But plausibly, it's not going to be any of them. It's going to be Catherine or Sasha, and it turns out to be Sasha.
And Catherine is too obvious. So
Catherine's too obvious. Because also, why would this guy like even know her?
yeah, why would he be obsessed with her? That doesn't make sense. And then Gessner, the scientist,
Yeah, that's a good one. That could be the other option, but it's also clearly not.
like
that.
why would it be? Because the Golem just killed her. I was just naming another woman. Name
Yeah,
five women.
well, that's right. He kills her in the first scene, so
Yeah.
obviously it's not.
As is always the case. Okay, before we even get into this, we're jumping around here. And then, he's trying to find Catherine because this scientist has been murdered. He gets the information that her manuscript is gone off the servers because his editor lets him know. And then there's a manhunt for Robert Langdon because he ran away. Oh, God, this book's so fucking stupid. Even like trying to describe it in a linear fashion feels like. Then you're never going to believe it. There's a vast conspiracy that reaches up to the highest levels of the U.S. government.
Well, should we sort of go through it in order? That's kind of what we typically do in these.
We should, but I think we need to hit the thing that Dan Brown damns himself with in the first pages of every single one of these books, which is...
This is the fact. All right, I'll read this one.
You read it.
Fact. All artwork, artifacts, symbols, and documents in this novel are real. All experiments, technologies, and scientific results are true to life. All organizations in this novel exist. This is, once again, the biggest shooting himself in the foot he could possibly do. All documents are real, including the fucking fake book. Like, what do you mean by this? The statement is so broad as to
scientific
be completely
results.
Well, I'm going to get to that, but first of all, it's like you phrase this in such a broad way that you're saying this is nonfiction. This is not true. Now, let's get to the most egregious one, which is scientific results are true to life. This is, now, again, I haven't read Inferno. I haven't read The Lost Symbol. There's another Langdon?
Oh, yeah. Are we missing one of this? No, this is we're not missing any. We've missed Inferno and Lost Symbol.
Okay, great. So I can't speak to those. This is the worst science I've ever seen, because this whole thing, I mean, if you believe this, preface statement, then all the shit about non-local consciousness is true and well documented. And there's lots of evidence for it and blah, blah, blah. And it is just utter nonsense that, I mean, there are definitely people who talk about this out there. All of the, like, he said, it goes out of his way a million times to be like, well, the evidence for, pre-site is pretty much irrefutable because Bem et al. Fucking did it. It's all crap. It is all crap.
Yeah.
Everything he says scientifically.
Pseudoscience shit, and this is coming from someone who doesn't have a PhD. Just like if you Google the Institute for Noetic Science, quote unquote. I mean, we'll get into that later because I have receipts of this, but it is the most like dude who watched What the Bleep Do We Know?
That's right.
While on mushrooms and is like, I understand non-local consciousness. The double slit experiment proves that we can change things by thinking about them.
It is a classic bullshit move to be like, well, quantum mechanics and consciousness proves that ESP exists. It's literal nonsense. There were, there's books about this. There's an interesting book by David Kaiser called How the Hippies Saved Physics, which is, a bunch of people in the 60s started to take this idea seriously and explore it. They were all wrong. But
no, this book says that they were right.
Right. Well, this is the thing. This book says they were right. And also, I mean, commits, we'll get to this eventually. There is a scientific misstep so egregious that I screamed. I was like, what the fuck are you doing with this? That betrays such a fundamental lack of understanding of physics and quantum physics that I was like, it's literally like the first thing you learn when you, we'll get there.
And there's like basic scientific method shit that is immediate red flag.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well,
like,
so that's
Robert, you should have swiped left on this lady.
It's so bad.
She's a charlatan. The idea that there's a conspiracy and murders happening to prevent the publication of this book. Because once you get to any of the secret of secrets that are referenced in the title of this book or through the entire book, that's like, this is the earth-shattering thing. It's like, a rejected patent 20 years ago.
No, that's
that she
exactly
included
it.
her rejected patent proposal in her manuscript. Like
None
Dan
of it.
Brown, someone needs an editor.
Yeah, none of it holds water. All right, so you
good
start this
Lord.
book, and there was a jump scare right away in this book, which is on the Kindle. It says 6 hours 54 minutes left, and I was like, oh.
That
Oh, fuck.
taunted
Oh,
me.
no.
That fucking taunted me the glasses are going on at a weird angle because A, they make me look erudite, and B, it's so the headphones and the glasses don't give me a headache, which I already have because of this shit.
Yeah, do you find those times accurate for you? They're pretty accurate for me.
They're also pretty accurate for me,
You're a
but
fast reader too.
I usually they're not like automatically turned on for me, so I was surprised to see it here, and it felt particularly cruel because it was like, don't do this to me. When I saw the point where it was like, you have 4 hours left, it was maybe like 8 p.m. last night, and I was like, no, I don't have shit to do, but for all intents and purposes, I have shit to do. Don't do this to me. Because it's like 700 pages.
Yes, it's 700 pages. It's way too long, vastly too long.
The structure of the way that it's like, here's a character, here's how hot they are, here's a clever thing that they said, here's how everyone reacted to the clever thing that they said, here's the first paragraph of like 4 different Wikipedia pages for places in Prague, here's plot development that doesn't make sense, and this is the shit that really gets me about Dan Brown, is that instead of creating actual stakes or tension, he will say, and then so-and-so said the 6 words to other character that changed their world. End chapter. And we're not going to hear it until 3 chapters later.
That's right. So then we go to a different
totally
character
innocuous
and setting, and it happens every single chapter, ends on a quote-unquote cliffhanger, and I understand the structure, but and maybe, okay, for one novel, sure, fine. The 7th or whatever time you do it, it's like, fuck you. Do something original here. Yeah, okay. Wait, I have an impression I'd like to do. Leighton, you're a science character in this book.
Okay.
Tell me a fact, and I'll be anyone listening.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for this. I highlighted so much of this. The most important thing to know about essential oils is that they completely cure cancer.
What?
But how could that possibly be true?
No, but that would mean... ... Yeah.
Italics. It couldn't be. My God.
Yeah. But that would mean is I feel like everybody's saying that, but that would mean that's right. Everything that's ever been published before this is wrong.
I wish that I had the
God.
type of audience for any, like, I wish that the listeners to this pod reacted the way that any crowd does to any piece of information, with just awe and wry chuckles and questions that no person would ever ask except someone who's constructed this argument backwards to say the smart thing that they really want to say.
Yeah, or it was a total plant.
Yeah.
But Professor Gray, have you considered the Rodriguez hypothesis? Well, in fact, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So we start with this scientist getting murdered by the golem.
Yeah. His voice was hollow, his accent vaguely Slavic. The moment I read, I think I had multiple stops and starts with this in that beginning 8% before I dipped to read Michael Crichton, the superior Dan Brown, who uses actual science because he was a scientist before becoming a writer. And so instead of saying how everyone's reacting to characters with awe, the characters just say smart things. He explains minimally to the reader a thing that's going on. And then just so you have context for what they're talking about. And then you think, wow, these characters are smart. They're coming up with interesting solutions to problems, and not like Langdon is a genius for throwing a bottle of Windex and also starting a fire.
So this monster, the golem, which is written with a obtrusive diacritical mark over the E in golem, which does not need to be there because we use this word in English now. Absolutely unnecessary. And every time I saw it, I made me angrier and angrier because this is a word. This is a word people use.
Yeah, I like that I adjusted my glasses at the same time you adjusted your camera. That was cool.
Yeah.
We didn't plan that. Or is that an example of non-local consciousness?
Yeah.
Fuck. I want to point out, this is the thing that we mentioned about the other assassin characters in Dan Brown's books, but within the first few pages, the monster stared down at her from behind his thick clay mask, his cold eyes flashing with comprehension, ... and hatred. Mm-hmm. Man, he loves cold eyes. He loves dead eyes. He loves cold black eyes like a doll's eyes.
I'll tell you, there are two words in this prologue where I was like, ooh, this is going to be a rough one. Can you guess what two words they are?
I don't know. I already forgot everything that happened in here. Was it reverse gravity?
It was reverse gravity.
Oh, I got it.
You got it. Yep, that's exactly right. As soon as do
you want to read those last like 3 paragraphs down to the last lines?
Yeah.
Because this is exactly like, not only is the setup and the structure how all of that PBR can is very erudite. It's not only the exact structure, but like even the like italics ... I have to warn the others is like exactly. Okay. Maybe like phrase wise. I was gonna do a study, like a comparative analysis here of the different books, and then I sat down to do it and was like, I'm not doing this.
That's not worth your
time. It proves
time.
nothing.
You're better than that.
Brigitte Gessner, Leonardo Vetra, Jacques Saunier, they're all the same character. It doesn't matter. Yeah. This is Mad Libs for Dan Brown.
All right, so I'm going to start here. No, she shrieked as the agony seized her anew, surging through her shoulder and into her chest. Please don't leave. This will kill me. Yes, he said over his shoulder, but death is not the end. I have died many times. With that, the monster evaporated, and Gessner was suddenly hovering again. She tried to shout an appeal for mercy, but her voice was muted by a deafening thunderclap as the sky above her seemed to open wide. She felt herself gripped by an unseen force, a kind of reverse gravity, lifting her higher, dragging her upwards. For years, Dr. Brigitte Gessner had derided her patient's claims of returning from the brink of death. Now she found herself praying that she could join the ranks of those rare souls who had danced to the edge of oblivion, peered into the abyss, and somehow stepped back from the precipice. I can't die. I have to warn the others. But she knew it was too late. This life was over.
Got him.
Got him.
Boom. We're in. Oh my God. I highlighted like the entire first page of chapter 1 because if you had tasked me with writing what the following pages of that intro would be, whatever I wrote is a joke would not be as dumb as this is.
It's really dumb. Yeah. So of course we cut to the first words of chapter 1 are Robert Langdon because they have to be, I guess.
Awaking peacefully, as he always does.
Listening to fucking Morning Mood, which is Robert Langdon, everything about it. He is presented as the smartest, most erudite man of the world.
Most charming and hot.
And every single thing he's into is the most basic bitch shit. Like Morning fucking Mood.
Crazy.
What are we? It's like you go to... You know, if you had to pick, like, what's the most cliched piece of morning classical music? It's Morning Mood. Do you know Morning Mood?
What is it? Oh, yeah. That's so fucking stupid. I thought that's what it was, and I didn't bother searching it just because it was like, I don't care.
It's a great piece, but it's also the most basic, ridiculous thing you
what
pick.
characters wake up to in cartoons. Dumb. And the fact that, like,
exactly
this is the thing that especially bothers me in this one, and I don't remember if he did it in the previous ones, where and this is a big author pet peeve of mine, character says something stupid, or there's, like, something stupid presented. And then they're like, well, actually, that's obvious, or, like, a bad joke. But it's like, that's what you do when you're saving face after you did your first draft bit that you want to replace later. Your move is to be like, well, I'll just have the characters say that it's a dumb joke and then it's fine. Yes. Write a better joke or make a better choice. Don't have him wake up to morning mood and then say, like, it was probably an obvious choice.
Yeah. Yes. And then he wakes up in Prague. This whole book takes place in Prague for whatever fucking reason.
For no reason. Like, there's as I said with Angels and Demons, there's a reason it takes place in the Vatican.
Threshold, which I don't even know if that's true. I assume that's true.
Does it?
But that's what they say at one point. But so in this first, okay. Yes. He's woken up in Prague. He remembers where he was. Yes, he remembered, smiling to himself. The city of 100 spires. That's
and this is preceded by, as the woodwind swelled, Langdon savored the uncertainty of not being able to recall quite where he was. Mm-hmm. Which happens multiple times. This man has trouble remembering where he is, which maybe contributes to his feeling of being decrepit and old.
You know when you go visit like New York and you wake up and your first thought is, the Big Apple.
A character does this in the book, though. They basically do this exact thing, and I'm gonna have to search for like when Harry met Sally to find it, probably.
Oh yeah, that was a funny one. Yeah.
By the way, guys, there is a crazy cat lady in this book, literal in every sense of the word, of the phrase.
Of course, Langdon only stays at the Four Seasons, which is mentioned. Brand loyalty is mentioned at the bottom of fucking page 1, chapter 1.
No, literally, I honestly think that this whole... You should just read this first page because it's so atrocious.
Yeah. All right.
Everybody settle in. He's about to throw some audiobook realness on us.
Do you want me to do an accent?
Please don't.
Like a Kennedy accent? Robert Langdon awoke peacefully, enjoying the gentle strains of classical music from his phone's alarm on the bedside table.
That was good. I like that.
Thank you. Robert Langdon awoke peacefully, enjoying the gentle strains of classical music from his phone's alarm on the bedside table. Grieg's morning mood was probably an obvious choice, but he had always considered it the perfect 4 minutes of music to start his day. As the woodwind swelled, Langdon savored the uncertainty of not being able to recall quite where he was. Yes, he remembered, smiling to himself. The city of 100 spires. In the dim light, Langdon surveyed the room's massive arched window, flanked by an antique Edwardian dresser and an alabaster lamp. The plush, hand-knotted carpet was still scattered with rose petals from last night's turn-down service. I wish I had a turn-down service so I could turn down the opportunity to read this book. Langdon had come to Prague 3 days earlier and, as he had on previous visits, checked into the Four Seasons Hotel. When the manager insisted on upgrading Langdon's reservation to the 3-bedroom royal suite, he wondered if it was due to his own brand loyalty or, more likely, to the prominence of the woman with whom he was traveling. Our most celebrated guests deserve our most celebrated accommodation, the manager had insisted. The suite included 3 separate bedrooms with ensuite baths, a living room, a dining room, a grand piano, and a central bay window with a lavish arrangement of red, white, and blue tulips, a welcome gift from the U.S. Embassy. Langdon's private dressing room offered a pair of brushed wool slippers monogrammed with the initials R.L. Something tells me that's not Ralph Lauren, he thought, impressed by the personalized touch.
This was the second time in the opening pages that I just put it down and was like, I can't do it. The first one was the mention of like vaguely Slavic voice and cold, dead eyes. And this was like, something tells me that's not Ralph Lauren. I'm going to kill you.
With every line. Now, as he luxuriated in bed and listened to the music from his alarm, he felt a tender hand touch his shoulder. Robert? A soft voice whispered. Langdon rolled over and felt his pulse quicken. She was there, smiling at him, her smoky gray eyes still half asleep, her long black hair tousled around her shoulders. Man, you fuck good, she said to him. Probably the best anyone's ever fucked me. I know, darling, he said. No, okay. I stopped. I'm not going to read the rest of this.
Here, no, I'm going to keep going because it's important. Okay. And I think as a woman, I should say this next part.
I agree.
Good morning, beautiful, he replied. She reached over and stroked his cheek, the scent of Balade Sauvage still on her wrists. Brand name yet again, and it's crazy. There's another perfume drop later in this book that's crazy, and we'll get to it, and I'm going to point out what's crazy about it, but oh my God. Langdon admired the elegance of her features, despite being 4 years. No, hold on. I gotta make it through. Despite being 4 years older than Langdon, she was more stunning every time he saw her. The deepening laugh lines, the faint wisps of gray in her dark hair, her playful eyes, and that mesmerizing intellect.
That believed in complete bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, and that's basically all we learn about Catherine over the course, because there's no character development, nothing. And this is a thing.
No, there's literally zero.
Reading 5 Crichtons over the weekend, Crichton doesn't care about characters or like interiority. He's similarly bad with writing women, but they're never boring. The books are never boring. They just keep going. They're very tense, and even when the reveal is like in this book where it's like, here's a huge secret that we've been hinting at the entire time. It's like, well, it was really tense getting up to it. I don't feel cheated because this is compelling and this makes sense and feels earned. Least there's the action is interesting enough in Crichton's books to make up for the fact that he's not very interested in like character development.
Yeah.
In this, it's like, not only is Dan Brown not interested in his characters, he is not interested in what is happening or moving it along at any pace. I mean, he is like half in this book a tour guide to Prague or any basic piece of information about the modern world. It's not just like describing architecture or whatever. It's like, and as you might know, ChatGPT, and I'm not kidding for people who haven't read this book, ChatGPT plays a not insignificant role in this story.
I really like this next paragraph. Can you read this next one where you stopped, and then we'll stop?
The one immediate. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Langdon had known.
Oh, God. I really thought that I was going to be like fired up for tonight's record, and I'm exhausted by this. Like, I finished this. You were ahead of me, and I was worried because we got to yesterday and I was like, I haven't read this entire book. And then I finished it ahead of you because I have no life. And I'm sorry because this shit sucks. Anyway, continuing. Langdon had known this remarkable woman since his days at Princeton, where she was a young assistant professor while he was an undergrad. His quiet schoolboy crush on her had gone either unnoticed or unrequited, but they'd enjoyed a flirtatious, platonic friendship ever since her professional career skyrocketed and Langdon became a high-profile professor known throughout the world. The two of them had kept in casual contact.
Okay, so right away, it's like, wait. Unrequited is the word here, where I'm like, she's a professor. What do we do? Like, come on.
And enjoyed a flirtatious platonic friendship, which can certainly be a thing, but
sure. But not
unnoticed or unrequited flirtatious
right
platonic
like,
friendship.
Fuck that.
And she's 4 years older. This isn't like, and this is a thing that we'll talk about.
So right away, right there, it's like, so she, okay, if you're gonna, let's think this through. Let's think through this time.
A thing Dan Brown has never done.
She's 4 years older than he is. She's a young assistant professor at Princeton. That means she's a tenure track professor at Princeton. Okay. To be a professor at Princeton, you have to have gone through graduate school, at least. So she needed to complete a PhD. Maybe she's a super genius and she did it in a very short amount of time, but it's not going to be less than 4 years, let's say. Okay. But she's 4 years older than he is. So that means she had to be basically, you know, when she was 10, she had like graduated from high school or something.
Yeah.
Like the math.
Because it's also, they've known each other for 35 years.
Yeah, well, there's that. But even, I'm just saying, he's an undergraduate. She's 4 years older. She's a young assistant professor. I guess does it say she was a freshman? He just says undergrad. So let's assume the best case scenario, which I guess maybe does work out, where he's a senior and she's a young assistant professor. She was a little, I guess it does work, but it is pretty suspect, this 4 year age gap and the professor student thing. No, not at Princeton. In like maybe a liberal arts college or something like that, maybe that's more plausible, but not at Princeton, which is one of the elite research universities
Which
in
she
the world.
also majored in neuroscience, right, before switching to noetics.
Or yes, that's right. She neurochemistry. whatever. Yeah.
But he needs to go swim. He needs to do his typical
Oh,
laps. The dolphin.
He's got to get out there and swim. You know, that's how he exercises his body and not just his mind.
Langdon donned his faculty issue Harvard sweats and headed for the door, choosing
That's
to
definitely
take
not a thing, by the way.
I know.
Definitely
I
not a
flagged that
thing.
immediately, and headed for the door, choosing to take the stairs rather than the suite's cramped private elevator. You know, he's in the executive suite at the Four Seasons with 3 bedrooms and Edwardian dressers and a private elevator, but he doesn't need to use it because he's so fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost, there's so much to cover here. I almost skipped over this.
Do you like when he calls her a funny girl?
Does that, oh God, I didn't even highlight that. Okay. There's a general, these books keep talking about how charming Robert Langdon does, and every single thing he says to Catherine in this book makes,
Sucks.
like, if I were Catherine, I would want to kill him. Like, it's so undermining and demeaning, even in the context of a long, playful friendship, that it's like, he does not, Goop Sorceress, he does not take you seriously. Go find some venture capitalist bro so you can start your crystal shop, because Robert Langdon not only doesn't respect what you do, he's completely bought into your bullshit, but also clearly doesn't respect you, despite constantly saying how brilliant he thinks you are, because he negs you constantly.
And there are all these little, like, as you said, demeaning.
Langdon reached over and turned
things.
off the music. Close your eyes. I'll be back in time for breakfast. Stay with me, she teased, holding him. You can skip 1 day of swimming. Not if you want me to remain a chiseled younger man, he said, sitting up with a lopsided grin. Like, I get it. A lot of couples do the, you know, you're old thing, but it's not, it's, if it weren't in the context of the way that Dan Brown is, like, so obsessed with old, like, the age and beauty and supposed intelligence level of women, I would let it slide. But also the fact that it happens constantly in this book, because as we're about to get into, he, like, kind of tries to upstage her at her own fucking talk.
Yeah.
And then is like, I got her this book proposal with my editor, and I was shocked that she was holding her own.
But she's also into it. That's the thing. He upstages her and she's like, hell yeah, this rules. Yeah. There's no fact. The problem, it's the same problem as in the other books, although I think it's worse in this one. That so I'm looking at a couple paragraphs down. Ill-advised nightcap of bohemian absinthe, which Langdon had always believed.
Which is a hallucinogen.
Yeah. Well, so then Langdon had always believed should be served with a disclaimer, popular during the Belle Epoque for its hallucinogenic properties. So this is populism masquerading as eloquence. It's insanity to me that
really good.
These, like, facts, this is the kind of, like, bullshit fact, I don't know, it's not even like an everybody knows it necessarily thing. It's just presented as if it's supposed to be like, you're never gonna believe this, and it's always some, like, 7th grade junior high level piece of knowledge.
Yeah,
these guys are both professors, and you know, okay, professors aren't, you know, they're still human beings, but they would have known almost everything that one says to the other is something the other one already would have known. And yet it's presented as if everything is a fucking revelation. Drives me insane.
I'm so
of course
excited
you're
to
familiar
get
with the Einstein, you know, the Einstein paradox. It's like, oh my God.
I'm so excited to get to this book's staple classroom straw man scene.
Oh, there's a nickname in that one that is.
That's really good.
A top tier nickname.
Unironically makes a Bueller joke, which is like the hackiest Hackerton hack. I hate Robert Langdon. I wish this guy died. He's not even in that much mortal peril in this one. He
not that much.
Nearly gets killed multiple times in the other books, and I was really missing that element of the story, because at least it would have put a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
we've arrived at the elephant in the room, which is going to be referenced for the next 700 fucking pages.
She gives quote, one of Europe's most respected lecture series. She gives a talk in one of Europe's most respected lecture series. Now, if you had asked me, Brian, you were a professor, I mean, in the UK, but sure, in Europe. What are the top 3 European lecture series?
And are they held in castles?
This basically does not exist as far as I'm aware. Universities will have lecture series. Sometimes they'll be named after a famous person or someone who donated money or whatever. But those are just like local things. As far as I know, and I please someone tell me if I'm wrong about this, there is not even a single like, I guess there's like the Royal Institution, like Christmas, the Faraday lecture at the Royal Institution, something like that. That might be a good example of a thing that is maybe the sort of thing they're talking about. But there are not any of those. Or if they, I mean, there are not many of those that are like really well known. Even the Faraday thing is kind of big only in the UK, although
I haven't heard of any of this shit.
No, because they're not like, they don't exist in this form. It's insanity to claim that there are like these huge European lecture series where everybody goes to give popular talks. There's like maybe
and
a couple,
they put you
I
up
guess.
in the Four Seasons because you're so famous and respected.
I really don't think that's a thing.
Also,
except with
okay,
maybe a couple exceptions.
Here's the thing that kills me about this book especially. Robert Langdon has been on some crazy adventures with international implications and a string of previous girlfriends who I assume those have fizzled out quick. He's a real pump 'em and dump 'em type, except unless Bolero is playing. Which,
oh, well, that we're going to get there. You got to wait. You got to wait for the clarinets to come.
There's so many things in this where it's
that Bolero thing I was very excited about.
It made me so angry. He saved the Pope. He saved the Vatican. And I don't know, Opus Dei, ? I'm forgetting. But like, he becomes internationally famous by the ends of each of these books. For the things that he does in those books alone, there is zero reference to any of those things, where I almost feel like
it's like a passing reference at one point about the Vatican had a path or something like that.
Yeah, but not even mentioning which
nothing.
He learned when he, jumped out of a helicopter and almost died but didn't because of 9 square, like a sheet of tarp, which he only learned about because he saw a fat woman that he remembered so vividly that it saved his life. Mm-hmm. But there's just no mention. At a certain point, Robert Langdon does not do anything Langdon-y other than be the most annoying man on the planet and factually inaccurate and wears a Mickey Mouse watch. He doesn't do any puzzles. He doesn't really solve anything. He's really a passive agent in this story. And then maybe like one of the benefits of 6 Robert Langdon novels would be is that like you're drawing on the fact that he's done all this shit. What kind of effect has that had on Robert Langdon as a person? Like, wouldn't people recognize him in public?
Nope.
None of that. We're not interested in it. And also the year is 2025. The fucking successive jump scares in this book, realizing that it's supposed to be present day, were stunning.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's right. I think it is a very good point that this character has not grown in any sense at all since page 1 of Angels and Demons. He's exactly the same person, maybe slightly older, but otherwise seems to have learned essentially nothing from his previous adventures. Which I don't like. Okay, there's a way of doing that, And
this isn't it. This just isn't it.
This isn't it. I mean, there's a version of James Bond where he's just always James Bond, right? Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, but like the world, and I bring up the time thing because
sorry, go ahead.
The world has changed so much where I think this is a reflection of Dan Brown, maybe more than anything, where when Da Vinci Code came out, it was like a huge deal. Everybody was talking about it. It was a huge thing. Are books like that now that aren't like A Court of Thorns and Roses or like whatever book talk fantasy?
Some books are, right? I think is the short answer. Is this book? I don't know if this was a hit.
Yeah, I mean,
bestseller?
It's like you could get away with the somewhat anonymity of Robert Langdon, like the suspension of disbelief of like, okay, it's the 2000s, people don't really have smartphones, but here where like social media like almost
this was the
plays a
number
role.
one bestseller, combined print and ebook fiction. New York Times.
This book?
This book.
These maybe the number one thing I've learned from these books is to never feel imposter syndrome ever again. Because if this is what does it, then by God, anybody can do it. How?
Yeah. I should read this New York Times review because
it's bad. It's like kind of crazy how positive every one of the major reviews of it are, where like one of them is like, yeah, it's not super good, but like, what did you expect? It's a Dan Brown novel. No, you don't get it. There's another one that was like, yeah, it's not really amazing, but it's kind of a testament to the power of the written word, that it's a novel where like a book could change the world.
Yeah. Okay. The A.O. Scott review. Here's a line. The Secret of Secrets worked for me less as an idea-driven whodunit or an exercise in softcore travel porn than as a wistful testament to the power of the printed word.
Yep,
Fuck
that's the one. I know.
you.
I know. Fuck off.
Like,
Fuck off extremely.
Yeah.
We should get into what noetics is.
Yeah, we really should. You know what my favorite part of noetics is?
What?
The word no.
I kept thinking about the vine of so no head, throw cell phone, but just every time I read noetic. So noetics.
So I looked up, I was like, okay, I'm not familiar with this word. Is this a real word? It appears to be a real word.
Unfortunately.
But do you, yeah, so I'm going to, from her lecture. So Catherine
Hold on, wait, I want to take a brief moment. Listener at home, if you had to guess what noetics is the study of, just take a moment and write it down in pencil or in your notes app and let us know, because I'm curious. I'd like to know. Ethics.
Yep. Okay. So Catherine starts her lecture. I'd like to begin tonight by answering the one question I'm asked almost every day. What the hell is noetic science? A wave of laughter rolled through the hall as the audience settled in. Simply stated, noetic science is the study of human consciousness. Contrary to what many believe, consciousness research is not a new science. It is, in fact, the oldest science on Earth. Since the dawn of history, we've sought answers to the enduring mysteries of the human mind, the nature of consciousness, and of the soul. And for centuries, we've explored these questions primarily through the lens of, italicized, religion. Anyway, and okay, so that's what noetics is, I guess. The study of consciousness.
She introduces that to say, Catherine stepped off the stage, moving toward the front row of attendees. And speaking of religion, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't help but notice that we have in the audience with us tonight a world-renowned scholar of religious symbology, Professor Robert Langdon. We'll get into we'll talk about noetics, and then we'll get into like this fucked up thing that happens.
The first thing she does is throw to the man. It's so
she's like
insane.
vamp.
Yeah. So noetics, I don't. Can we look up an external source for what noetics means?
Well, you can, and it's immediately going to tell you it's pseudoscience, which it is.
Well, yeah, which it obviously is. Let's see.
So a thing that's important to note is, as in the acknowledgments, and I read The Lost Symbol when it came out when I was in middle school, and that was the death knell for my torrid love affair with the works of Dan Brown, because I was a teenager, and then, once I wasn't a teenager anymore, I was like, damn, this shit sucks, because his books read like bad YA fiction. But the noetics were a big part of Lost Symbol, which I just don't even remember. But
oh, they were. Okay.
Dan Brown specifically is really into the Institute of Noetic Science, which he explicitly thanks in the acknowledgments for their like groundbreaking work into humanity.
Seemingly just buys into. So
100%.
Like I texted, we were texting about this, of course, as we always do. And it is this like, conscious, like the whole thing, her whole idea is that consciousness is outside the body. We like tap into some kind of universal brain and occasionally get flashes of something beyond our immediate understanding. And noetics is essentially the study of
this. And it proves ESP is real.
It proves all of this shit, like
Life after death.
Remote viewing, life after death, ESP, a thing called sudden
Telepathy.
savant syndrome, which I've never heard of before and cannot be a real well-documented thing. It's not like you get hit on the head and suddenly you know German. That
Yeah, you're
does not
fluent in
happen.
German, or like
Doesn't happen.
you're a violin. And she like hedges a lot on this argument too, that like the only explanation could be non-local consciousness.
But to present this kind of stuff, and so the solution for how can you just suddenly wake up one day and be a master woodworker or whatever, is that you have tapped into a consciousness that's outside your brain. There's this thing called GABA, which we get into later in your brain, where if you tune it down, suddenly you can tap into it, and then if you tune it up, you're out or whatever.
And like when you're dying, it's or like epileptics or
yeah. So there's this whole thing about how we're tapping into a big consciousness, and that's how every fucking parapsychological thing you've ever heard of is actually real. And the fact that this book comes with a thing in the beginning, which is like all this science is real, is maddening and wrong. Like it's pseudoscience bullshit through and through, and it is presented from the lens of these are real results. And he talks about these results, and he cites like papers, and some of these papers, I was telling you, some of these papers I know, they are known to be complete bullshit, as if that wasn't obvious. Like there's the BEM work on ESP is wrong. It is nonsense, but people cite it all the time as a good study that demonstrates, ESP or whatever. There is very, very well documented what is wrong with these papers, among others. And I hate that this is presented as if everyone knows this stuff. And then you have a contradiction, because it's like, well, okay, if everybody knows it, why is this such a groundbreaking thing?
yeah.
Right? You can't have it both ways, where this is obvious stuff that everybody knows, and also me talking about it to you is going to blow your fucking mind forever.
Yeah, and is enough that people want to kill me and get every copy of my manuscript.
Yeah.
It's
Her woman script.
Girl boss. Hold on, my dog is intentionally trying to strangle herself with her headphone cord because she can't take it anymore. Neither can I. No, please stop doing that.
Yeah. So the whole noetics thing, he says noetics, I think more in this than he says symbology. I think
absolutely.
It's not even close.
Well, yeah, because this book isn't about symbology or symbols, so why is Langdon there? This literally could have been, yeah, I know, I want to yawn too.
Yeah.
It could have just been like a Catherine Solomon mystery, and Robert could have been her sidekick, which essentially he is, because he has nothing to do. It would have been more interesting than what happens here, because if she's like, why are all my manuscripts stolen? Like, this lady I was supposed to meet with or met with, is dead. Why are people looking for me? Where's my boyfriend? Did he drown in the river?
Much better. That's such a good idea. And I hadn't even thought of it. Just basically shift focus to her,
Pass
make
the
her the
torch.
main character, which she essentially is anyway. Now you can write about her instead, and not really worry. So Langdon, you've done, what else are you going to do with Robert Langdon, as this book demonstrates?
And then he can have his
Basically
fun
nothing.
cameos to be helpful. Make him the bumbling, sexy scientist person who chimes in sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, Robert, ring, ring. Hey, Robert, it's Catherine. I've got a question for you. Have you ever seen this symbol before? Why, sure. It's blah, 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 blah. Great. Thanks. Click. Bye. You're out of the book.
Yeah. Robert Langdon is like a bad phone a friend.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, she's trying to escape. She hates it. She wants to go. The thing that I was going to bring up is because I'm looking at my Google Images, not Google Images, my photos out. Look at this little budding noetic scientist. She's tapping into my non-local consciousness of wanting to be unconscious. Look at this fucking moron.
She's real dumb.
But the Institute for Noetic Sciences, if you like go through their website at all, immediately I'm like, okay, your peer-reviewed publications, show me them. I want to see them. We continue to advance the field of scientific discovery through regularly publishing peer-reviewed papers in established journals under titles such as Reports of Non-Physical Beings Assisting in Reiki Sessions, Why Vibes Matter.
We're going to get more PR companies are going to come to us after this and try to get these people on the show.
Sentiment and Presentiment in Twitter. Do trends and collective mood, quote unquote, feel the future?
Really?
Yes, that's one of the look. If you go through these, decreased post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms following a lucid dream healing workshop, channeling a non-pathological possession and dissociative identity experience, or something else. On pathological skepticism was my favorite one. Because a lot
you're
of
looking
these,
at the poster boy right here, folks.
well, it's crazy because reading that article is such a like personal petty grievance that
Why doesn't anyone take me seriously?
yeah, when I'm saying shit that's demonstrably false and saying like yeah, check the sources and then list no sources. Meanwhile, people who are actually checking sources are like, you're just determined to not believe things that are outside the realm of
Right.
There's some like whack ass quotes from the person who started this. Channeling ETI channeled content. There is a vast array of
ETI, I had one of
trans-channeled
those
content.
once. I had to take some pills for it.
There's a vast array of trans-channeled content that is believed to originate from non-human intelligence, NHI, otherwise known as aliens. Like, this shit is so
I love it
ridiculous.
when they do that. They're like, we can't say aliens because it sounds too crazy, so we're going to call it NHI, and now it's science. It's like the whole intelligent design thing. All right, we have to keep moving because we're on chapter 2 in this book. We're 2% in, and this book is 700 pages.
I know, but I want to say this dog hates this. The Institute of Noetic Science makes this. They on their website they say non-local consciousness effects have been objectively demonstrated by the IONS research team and by our many colleagues worldwide over the past 140 years to a level of confidence that such further proof-oriented experiments are no longer necessary.
Oh, because that's how science works.
That's how science works. The next research advancement, as reflected by most studies that are being conducted today, are process-oriented experiments, which are interested in what factors modulate these effects. How dare you write this book?
Well,
like, how dare Dan Brown for doing his other books and being like, all of this history is real, but especially to do it in the year 2025 with the level of like conspiracy theories were in a different place entirely when Angels and Demons was published in like 2001, Da Vinci Code 2004. Much different places, like culturally, where like conspiracy thought was a little bit more of a like, ho, bet you didn't know this. Now it's like kind of stuff, everyone and their fucking grandmother being brain rotted by AI generated QAnon bullshit.
The anti-science conspiracy theorists run this country's government, and it feels a lot more real to have this kind of shit like in this book. This drove me insane that this was presented. I was going to say before, I was texting you and I was like, maybe, I don't know where this is going, but maybe the whole thing is going to be at the end that this is bullshit. Because sometimes Dan Brown pulls this move where he's like, you think it was going to be God, but actually it was just science the whole time, whatever.
It was actually science the whole time.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, maybe there's a chance that this is building towards she's just wrong.
Yeah.
Because also, wouldn't it be nice to put a woman in her place?
Oh my God, I would love that. I would suddenly be like, yes, score 1 for misogyny.
Yeah, but
Dan Brown, use your misogynistic powers for good instead of evil, and tell us that this is all quackery and bullshit, and have Robert dump her for a 23-year-old. I don't know, French scientist,
like condensed matter physicist. But instead, he just credulously buys into all of this, and again, you cannot excuse it as this is a work of fiction, and he's using it as a kind of MacGuffin thing. He says in the fucking preface that this stuff is real, and it is simply not. It's all bullshit, and it drives me insane that it is being presented to a huge worldwide audience.
Number one bestseller.
Number one bestseller, who definitely doesn't know enough to distinguish fact from fiction, many of them. And like, hey, look, if you trusted him with the other ones, okay, that's on you.
I got a bridge to sell you.
But yeah, exactly. So you shouldn't be trusting this guy anyway. But it is not on the same level. This is vastly more irresponsible than the other errors in the other book. It's like, okay, the geography of Rome is not quite what he says. Yeah. Fuck, it sucks, but fucking fine. He makes some basic physics errors in the other one. They're sort of in passing. Okay, it sucks, but fine. The entire point of the book is supposed to be that this non-local science bullshit is right. And everybody knows it. And who cares if it's replicable? It's absolutely true and proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And we're going to take that as given and move on from there. And it's irresponsible.
Maybe get away from the mic. Get away from the mic. Do you want to know? I'm going through my screenshots of things that I searched just to send to you because I was getting mad about them. Do you want to guess how many times Robert muses?
Oh, I'd love to know. I'm going to guess. 15?
27.
Oh, wow.
27 times he mused. He mused. Langdon mused. Almost amused. I guess this is inclusive of amused because people are very frequently amused by. Mm-hmm. And then I also searched non-local, but I guess I didn't screenshot how many times it said. But I'm just gonna searching non-local is called non-local consciousness. In the non-local model, explaining non-local consciousness. In the world of non-local consciousness, we're still learning exactly how non-local consciousness works. Similar to non-local consciousness, non-locally. Describe how non-local consciousness was increasingly supported by discoveries. And you believe non-local consciousness explains all this? The lost understanding what had now become non-local consciousness theory, a range of laboratory results that strongly support non-local consciousness. There's an intellectual war raging in my field between the local and non-local models of consciousness. After your rather jaw-dropping book pitch about non-local consciousness, I'm not even halfway down, so I'm going to stop. But just know that this is the kind of book where the phrase non-local consciousness is just constantly being thrown at you.
I mean, irrepressibly so. It's
irrepressibly so.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Can we talk real quick? I feel like this is going to be a Yudkowsky situation where we spend the first episode doing broad strokes, why this sucks, and then second episode reading egregious quotes.
Yeah, that's good.
Does that feel right to you?
Sure.
Can we talk about the book cover?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even really look at it. Let's look at it.
Do you have the Kindle edition where it's the red one with the keyhole?
Yes, I have that. Hold on. Let me get to that. Where the fuck is it? Oh, here it is. Okay, yep. Oh, the backwards R.
The backwards R. I know. What a devilish puzzle to include on the cover of your book. I mean, Dan Brown, you are slacking. Da Vinci Code cover, iconic. It's not amazing, but it's iconic.
Yep.
Angels and Demons had the ambigram thing that you designed for it. That's very cool. Mm-hmm. Again, a thing that you say that everyone's so shocked. Even computers couldn't generate the perfect ambigram for a three letter word. But this one, it's the title, The Secret of Secrets.
Dumb.
Bad. There's a keyhole.
Look at the kerning on that backwards R.
It is atrocious. I was going to point to that exact same thing, Brian.
It's really bad.
The fonts are uninteresting. We've got
bad fonts, yeah.
Bad fonts. The Secret of Secrets.
A and Dan though.
I do. It's oh my god. It's like the symbol in Prague. It's maybe one of the only symbols that the symbologist talks about.
Yep.
Other than doing bits that's yes, the universal sign for get out of here, which is a human on stairs. The bit being the secret, the second R being backwards is fucking crazy. We'll save it.
Yeah, go ahead.
In typical Dan Brown fashion, I think we're going to hold off on the two major plot twists in this book for the second episode.
Yeah.
Brian and Leighton both knew exactly what the thing that would change everyone's minds were, but it was too late to impart it onto the woeful listeners.
I forget how far in, and I texted you, I think this is the twist, and I was dead fucking right.
I was like, I can't say shit.
Did you know? Did you know it also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's what else is it going to be?
Right.
I didn't think that the mechanism by which it was the twist.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. I know we'll get there.
But yeah, a bad cover. A bad cover.
By the way, the two other things after reading a bunch of Michael Crichton and teleplays to get out of reading this book, I read Alan Sepinwall's entire Breaking Bad compendium and reread Sherry Frankie's The House of My Mother because I just needed a little nonfiction in there along with the oh my god, fuck, I hate this shit. Dan Brown, go fuck yourself on your giant pile of money and your Mickey Mouse watch.
Broad stroke stuff that's bad about this book. Too long. I mean, it's way
boring.
Too long. Egregiously too long.
700 pages. Boring. For what? And for what? For what characters? For what? situations, because when I think about this book, in having consumed it very quickly, specifics leaving my mind at rapid fire,
As
because
well they
in my
should.
head, all this book is this book about non-local consciousness is going to change everything, which this book might as well be that sentence for an entire novel, because that's all it says. It does like the bad science references that it tries to do to prove that it's real.
Yep, there's a lot of that, a lot of citing sources in the dumbest
While
way
just circling
possible.
back to, because a huge bit of it is that Catherine won't let anybody read the manuscript. Do you have to go do your thing?
No. I was going to say the circling back thing reminds me of something, but finish your thought and then I'll come on.
It's so much, the book is hinged around like, well, what could possibly be in this manuscript that everybody wants to get rid of it so badly that they're willing to kill people for it? And the book teases you about it the entire time too, because all you hear from Catherine is how important, how mind-blowing, how huge.
Not that she's published a paper.
Not that she's published any papers, and in fact doesn't think she needs to replicate any of these things anyway, and it's stupid.
But she
that
did.
Science...
She didn't need to, but she did. And it's
But she
replicable at some point, she said.
And it's replicable. I don't know. It's just, it's insulting, and I want to say that it's insulting, but also people eat this shit up. So maybe it really isn't that insulting.
The circle back thing reminds me, I'm going to be a pedant for a moment. In a book where your characters are supposed intellectuals, you do not want to misuse the phrase begs the question. Yet, I counted 2 instances of using begs the question to mean raises the question, which is the way most people use it these days. And I am not saying that that is bad necessarily, but it is begging the question is I'm not going to go to die on this hill. Begging the question is a logical fallacy that means it's a circular argument. But my point is, if you claim to be as erudite as Dan Brown is, and everything here is fact, then you better use it in the technical sense correctly.
When it's the exact thing that multiple characters are constantly like, well, I bet you didn't know that XYZ is actually, like, you can't do that.
If you use the phrase beg the question to mean raises the question in front of Robert Langdon, he would annihilate you with facts. Like, he would come at you and say, actually, he would say it in a smirky, funny way, quote unquote funny.
Robert Langdon, the answer to a question that no one asked.
I believe, I have to find it, but I think Robert Langdon, I believe, uses the phrase begs the question incorrectly, which is not something Robert Langdon would do. Drove me nuts. And again, it all stems, much like the other books, it all stems from this foot shooting on the first page, where it's like, this is all real, this is all true, this actually happened. Like,
there's also, at least with the other ones, they're very they're ahistorical, but they're about things that have happened already. This book is so concerned with, it's almost like speculative fiction in the latter half. Well, it's all speculative fiction. But it becomes like a techno thriller at a certain point. Like, this isn't necessarily about like some interwoven tale with like the history of Prague or art history or.
No, it kind of faints at the history of Prague a few times, but it doesn't really
And then
matter.
just becomes like a generic, like Jack Ryan story. Shadowy
There's
organization, and you're
technology.
never gonna believe who's behind the shadow organization.
Oh, that drove me insane. There's like, it is presented as a reveal that the shadowy organization, it's like,
I wonder who it's gonna be.
Never going to, it is like, it is a cliffhanger. Who is actually behind it? Spoiler.
The amusing, that was supposed to come next time. Bleep it.
Sorry. Yeah.
The amusingly named film, The Men Who Stare at Goats. Like, well, it was a book by John Ronson first, Dan Brown, so fucking don't even try it. It's
yeah, the cliffhangers are all dumb. I'm not going to say I saw 100% of them coming. But...
No, because some of them are so monumentally stupid that it's like, well, I'm impressed by how dumb this is, because the thing is,
Yes.
the way that this plot sets itself up, there are like 10 different more interesting things that the book could do with the exact pieces that it sets up, that I was like, is he going to
Yes,
do
and
this? At
shorter.
least that would be kind of interesting. Nope. They do not.
It's always the dumb version.
And I'm not going to say the central technology that is like so sought after in this. You've invented a sci-fi device in a book about people that the obvious stated outcome of the shadowy organization is to use this thing for this purpose, and you're not going to have them use it for that purpose in the book.
Nope.
I
Not
kept
at
waiting
all.
for it to be like Catherine was actually the mastermind all along.
I 100% do, especially.
I would have even
yeah.
taken that. I would have liked that better.
Well, yes, and we can talk about this with a spoiler next time, but I had a theory for why she might be, actually.
Yeah.
But, yeah. What are the other big problems with this piece of shit?
It's the worst. It's the worst of the Langdon books, like by a lot. It's not close.
Yeah, thin
I hate his
characterizations.
editor.
The editor character sucks. So what's his name? Jonas?
Jonas Falkman.
Falkman, yeah. Is a smug prick.
Wisecracking.
Even
I
he's
also-
getting kidnapped and he's like, oh, cold enough for you in here? And you're like,
And the
"Dude, what are you-"
kidnappers laugh because they're
Yeah,
so amused
because
by
it's
his
so funny.
antics. I thought the character, I skipped, in this sea of, I think every single character who's over the age of 30 who's introduced is like in surprisingly good shape for their age. This
Yep.
is one of those cases where it's like Jonah, who is 55, but jogs every day and is like a teenager because he wears sneakers to the office. I totally thought
He
he was
never-
a much younger character than he
Yes.
was, because it's so like juvenile.
Right, but he
And
has
that
to
this
print out his books to edit them.
Yeah, the perks of being old fashioned.
Yeah.
They're-
Yeah, that's a bad character for sure. Yeah, a really hateful person. Hateable, I guess, is what I'm looking for.
Dan Brown's books make me feel like a hateful person, which I am.
Yeah.
Like
then-
he's hateable. Who is there to root for? Because either a character has absolutely zero characterization, or you're just supposed to hate them.
I mean, the only two people that really register at all are Langdon and Catherine. And
Because they're capital P protagonists.
right. And everybody else just kind of moves through. I guess Sasha gets a little bit, but then she's just absent through most of the book.
Well, most of that is because the backstory is the backstory that one
Right.
character has every fucking book. This was the thing that clued me into the
Yeah,
twist.
yeah.
That was like, wait a second, Dan Brown doesn't give this style of backstory to a character unless he's doing one specific thing.
Yeah. Yeah. What else is not to like? Any positives?
You know, I was thinking this last night. I was going to be like, say one nice thing about this book that isn't snarky, and I couldn't come up with it before I fell asleep last night.
I
It
knew
can't
most
be
of the
snarky.
words. No, that's snarky.
That's
Damn it.
snarky.
I honestly, I can't think of anything.
No,
I
you
really
have
hated-
to. We're not ending this first part until you say something nice
Okay, fine,
about Dan
fine,
Brown's
fine.
Secret of Secrets that isn't
Okay,
snarky
I
or
will say
insincere.
this. I think it is an interesting move to set the book in Prague. Like, Prague's a cool fucking city. There's a lot of interesting stuff that happened there. I do like the idea, and it's not like, I don't know, if you were picking cities to set books in, I don't think Prague would be on your top 20 list.
Well, he's already done
but
Barcelona, Washington, D.C., the Vatican, Paris.
I like Prague as a choice, even though this book could have literally been anywhere and it wouldn't have mattered. But
Sure.
Prague's a cool city, and it's nice to see it represented, on the page. All right, you go.
I had never seen the statue, The Victims of Communism, which he references
Yes.
being in Prague, which is a factual detail and not really a thing that Dan Brown came up with, but it got me to Google that, and it's a pretty cool statue.
I didn't even look at it. Let me look at it.
You should look
right
it up.
now.
It looks neat. And it's eerie.
The victims of communism. Statue. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, I like that.
It's one of the few things in the book that forces you to actually Google it, because otherwise Dan Brown mentions something and then tells you in more detail than you could ever possibly want to know the minutia of how many people
Yes.
or how many things or what they do or whatever you would find in the first paragraph of a Wikipedia article on the subject. So why would you need to Google anything when you could just have zero intellectual curiosity and accept what Dan Brown's telling you at face value?
Here's the big question, Leighton. Did you go to the YouTube video?
What YouTube video?
There, he types out a YouTube link.
Oh no, I forgot about that. I didn't. I'm not
I
intellectually
did.
curious enough. What's there? What is it?
It is the dumbest possible version of what could be there.
Well, because the video is supposed to be a woman being killed.
So what do you think is there when you go? So I will tell you, that's a real YouTube video. You type that link out, you go to a YouTube video.
Man, I assume based on Dan Brown's understanding of technology in this that he wouldn't even be
I did too, so that's why I tried
hip
it. I was like,
the
this is going to
idea
be a
of
dead link. But
a workable length.
it's a real link.
It's Dan Brown sitting on a pile of money. It's a video on noetics.
It is a 3-minute video of a card that just says video removed for graphic content.
Oh, fuck, that's good.
3 minutes.
Come on, Dan Brown.
Yeah.
You got to give me a little bit more than that, especially because the significant, like, do it as a fun treat. Do you think that people are going to be like, a real murder? I've never seen that on the internet before. And then like excitedly go. It's not even like my highest hope for that would be like, do a puzzle.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Some kind of redirect, something fun. Instead, it's the worst thing imaginable. It's the absence of fun. The comments are good, though, actually.
Oh.
The comments are worth reading, and maybe we should look at that
I think we should.
time.
Well, I imagine we're going to have a tiny intermission between this episode and the next because I need to
deal with my child.
All right. Well, everybody, our tiny intermission will be a week for you, which is another week where you don't have to be reading.
Don't do it.
Any of Dan Brown's books.
Listen
do not
to us
buy
talk
this book.
about it. It's
don't
really,
do it.
Yeah. I cannot imagine that this is a good use of literally anybody's time. I really...
Certainly wasn't of mine.
No, I was actively upset reading
I was
it.
mad at us for doing this.
Yeah. But, I don't know. Jump on a trend. That's what we do in this podcast.
We do it for the love of the pod and, staying current and hip, like discussing the latest computer graphics on campus in our Harvard faculty issue sweatpants.
Do you know what my favorite computer game is, Leighton?
Oh, I have a guess.
What do you think it is?
Would it have something to do with any sort of religious iconography?
It would, yes.
Oh my God.
What is it?
Could it be Halo?
It is.
Whoa.
Everyone loves the computer game Halo.
In the year 2025, the computer game Halo. Okay, well, maybe also knows it's time to get out of here. So folks at home, patreon.com/late night if you want to see my sick European scarf, which was all I could really muster today, and Brian didn't do a look at all. So
I'm always doing a look. That's my secret, Leighton. I'm always doing a look.
You can't end multiple minisodes and episodes lately with that line.
That's my secret, Leighton. I'm always doing a look.
That's your secret.
Mm-hmm.
The secret.
The secret of secrets. Yeah. All right,
okay,
bye,
next
everybody.
week's. Bye.
Leighton Night is produced by Brian Wecht and Leighton Gray. Sign up for our Patreon at patreon.com/Leighton Night. Follow us on Twitter at Leighton Night, on Instagram at Leighton_Night, or email us at leightonnight@gmail.com.